Okay.
Now you're live,
Yes.
but everybody will get there in just a second.
Beautiful. It's just awkward.
From Brothers.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Baer Facts on Guns, where host Derek Baer and his guests are locked and loaded to educate, inspire, and answer your questions about firearms. Today, you don't need to do it with your husband. Now, ready? Aim, Derek.
What an amazing intro. Thank you so much, Kent. Awesome. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to the show. We obviously have some guests with us today. I will walk through who those are. And Art, it is not a Star Wars theme, but it is a new theme music for that, too. So I'm going to start at the end. Theme music, you like that?
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew, pew. We just need to add that to that as well. As always, Tom, thank you so much for joining us from On Target, Director of Operations over there. And we'll get a whole bunch of questions to fire at you today. No pun intended with that.
I hear it all. Put $1 in a punch jar. Let's have a blast.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. There's so many dad jokes that just rolled through my head in 2 seconds. We have Jemima here with Liberty Oak Plumbing and a novice gun shooter enthusiast and wanting to learn more. She's also a local realtor as well. I'll let you introduce where you are.
Hello, everyone. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm a realtor with Baird & Warner in Algonquin, and then I also own or co-own Liberty Oak Plumbing with my husband Joseph, and we're based in McHenry County. So, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining. And Joseph's awesome. For those of you that don't know, he's a wonderful plumber, and we've done a lot of work with him, and he's exactly who we want to work with. So, and we have my lovely wife, Kiki.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's so hard to get you out of the house sometimes.
Leave me alone. I work from home.
Also,
I'm surprised she's got shoes on too. It's amazing.
Yeah. You don't see the other bottom half of what's going on. She has
real
PJs.
pants.
To put on real pants. I love it. That's phenomenal. Also a novice gun owner. Just purchased her first firearm last year and is working through training with me to learn how to operate it properly and understand. And also, I think you've seen a big uptick in that you enjoy it.
Definitely.
Cool. Awesome. So today's show, we're going to talk about, obviously, you don't have to do it with your husband. And really what that comes down to is you don't need to do it with your husband. Awkward pause.
Yay!
Just kidding. It really just means the fact that you don't have to feel you can have the confidence to go and train. There's facilities that offer female classes. There's female only classes. There's training facilities. Obviously, On Target does it as well, to be able to have the confidence to go in by yourself, not with your partner or significant other, and feel comfortable enough that you're not going to be judged. No questions are dumb, and it's the right way to do things. But we have some big news today. There's been some changes that have been going on in the political world. We're not a political show, so I don't want to stick on the politics of it. But our commander-in-chief right now has put out executive orders, 6 of them. And I want to touch on a couple of them to start with, and then I want to obviously dive into what that impacts us as gun owners and really talk about female gun ownership and what On Target offers for training facilities and events to be able to tailor to that as well. But I want to start with, what firearms do you own, Jemima?
Me, I have
if you want to disclose, by the way.
I have a Ruger 380 LCP.
Okay.
That was a birthday present from my husband.
Oh, nice.
And I've had it probably 4 or 5 years. I have only shot it probably 5 times in those last 5 years.
Okay.
So, and I don't like it. I don't love it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in that spot where I'm in the market for a new gun, but again, that I need my husband, or that's the thought process is I need my husband to help me pick out a gun.
Sure.
But I really don't. So empowerment, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. 100%.
But that's it. I know he's got some shotguns and some hunting rifles and things like that, but I've never touched those. So.
And you grew up in more of a country atmosphere, shooting guns kind of out back and that stuff.
I did. So I grew up in Wisconsin, and my dad would shoot the straw bales across the backyard, which apparently we were unincorporated, but we were still in a village. So it wasn't really legal. And I think the cops at some point showed up and was like, hey, you can't really do that, because we were in like a subdivision. But yeah. So I used to know how to shoot, and it's one of those riding a bike things where I used to be good at it and be confident.
Sure.
Then I stopped for a couple decades, and now it's like I'm kind of shaky and just not feeling confident.
Okay.
So my one concern is more protection, safety.
Sure.
I have a family.
Yep.
Again, I'm a realtor. I'm going in with strangers into homes. So I would like to have that confidence that I know I can defend myself and protect my family.
100%.
You know, so yeah.
Great.
Long story short.
No, it's wonderful. Great information. And I know that there's probably a lot of other women out there that are in similar situations where they're meeting people realtors, it's scary. Like,
It's dangerous.
Yeah. We have a female electrician that works for us. And I think I've told the story before, but she walked into a client's house to do an estimate, and the guy had cut up mannequins in his house and had an ankle monitor on his ankle. And she left and called me and said, hey, I'm going to do this estimate over the phone. I'm going to email him. Can you just do a search on this guy real quick? Because I just got a really bad feeling about the whole situation. If it was just the ankle monitor and not the cut up mannequins and the weird mannerisms and how he was talking and constantly talking about that she was a female electrician, was super weird. Come to find out, he was arrested for threatening to cut up his girlfriend. So he called back after we sent the estimate to him, and wanted her to come back, whatever the price was, but only her. Mm-hmm. So as a business owner, I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. We're going to send Art, a 6'7", 300-pound, lovely gentleman to meet you at the door. Hi, I'm here to change your electricity. So I think he got the point on that as well. That's fantastic. We have a ton of comments already. Yeah. So Mary says, hi. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Christine. Keith, what's up? Art, is rocket launcher legal to own? I don't know if that is. That's a good question.
In Kazakhstan.
Okay, cool. That's phenomenal. I don't think that is. Great. And Keith, we'll get to your question in a second here. Christine shouted out On Target and shouted out you, Tom, as well. So she knows you.
Thank you.
Kiki, do you want to tell everyone what you have and all that?
I will mention some of the
Okay,
weapons
cool.
I have.
Yes.
So I have a Smith & Wesson 38 Special,
Okay.
which I really like. It's a revolver. I have a Smith & Wesson 22.
Yeah.
Help me with the rest
Okay.
of it.
You're good.
That's it?
You're good. That's good enough. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Those are my two favorites.
You don't need to share all
Those are my
of
two
it.
favorites.
Okay, cool. She also has a Ruger too, by the way, which I adore and love to shoot. It's a Ruger 22, Ruger Wrangler 22.
Oh, I think that's the one I got from your shop.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's really fun to shoot.
Yep. Really cool. So I want to kind of reverse a little bit here and go back to the executive orders that kind of came out of nowhere, really not nowhere. We all know that it was coming. It was just kind of, events that leading up to it, some shootings that have happened recently and shootings that happen every day in Chicago. I'm not going to make this political. I'm going to keep this straight. I got to, because I have so much more to say about it.
Good luck.
I know. It's so hard. So number one, he wants to ban assault rifles. And I asked last episode what an assault rifle means, because the act of assault is a physical, not a piece of weaponry. So you can't define that. And he keeps calling it, war guns, like, guns of war, I think is what he keeps referring to with that as well. I'd like to know what a gun of war means also, because a pistol can be a gun of war if you use it in the right sense. ghost guns, so buying guns on parts online and being able to put them together within 30 minutes. Don't mind the shipping time that it takes to get all those parts together, and being able to decipher a manual to be able to put that together as well. That takes all 30 minutes to do, because we live in leap year time zones and light. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And then the other big one is the red flag law. And that kind of directly relates to what you do every day, and you being home every day. So they're trying to make it so it's federal, so that the local municipalities can enforce these red flag laws easier and be able to basically say that they can take your guns away and take possession of your guns without legal ramifications other than the fact that a judge needs to sign off on it. So if you're mad at your neighbor and you can put a well enough case together where you see, husbands and wives or whoever fights, partners fight. If you get a video of that, you submit that to the court and you get a warrant for the police to come in and be able to confiscate all your weapons in your house. Now, you as a real estate agent, all that was done was the neighbor didn't like you. Right? So now you have no way to defend yourself. And now you're working every day and uncomfortable every day, which affects your sales because your confidence is down because you're nervous about walking into houses. So you can't provide for your family because you can't sell houses. And, you can roll this all the way out there.
All because I lost my temper one time.
Yeah. And your neighbor happened to catch it, and it just happened to be that one time.
And what's the appeal process for that?
Yeah. So I have like a million questions with that. So we're gonna not focus that on this show today because it's so new. I have so many questions. There's so much right and left views on those kind of issues. So I want to stick to facts to that kind of stuff. And I just don't have the facts yet because it came out today, right? So he just talked about it. My opinion and how I interpret things is obviously his views, which is I don't like ARs. He kept talking about 100-round capacity magazines.
He's probably referring to the ability to put on a drum magazine. Sure, you can do that, but most people don't.
Have you ever? You have carried 100 rounds, right? Have you carried a 100-round drum in your hands?
I never carried a drum because sometimes they're prone to jam.
Cool.
I'll carry my 7 mags.
Sure.
And more in the backpack if you're out in the field back in the olden days in the military and that sort of thing. But you want to carry your standard 30-round mag, usually with 28 rounds in there, because you want to give that spring a little bit of leeway. If you walk around with packed in mags all the time, it could affect the feeding, and you don't want that. So it's just shy of a couple rounds unless you're really going into an imminent fight right away and you need the extra rounds. Put a couple round in there, but don't usually fill it up all the way.
That's good to know.
30-round mag.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you don't want to compress it and keep it compressed for too long.
I feel like hiding 100-round drum would be a lot harder to do than hiding 10 magazines with 10 rounds in them.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah. And like I said, it's more prone to jam and magazine exchange. You go through 100 round, what are you going to do? Put in easily another drum magazine? They're not that easy.
No.
You have your regular box magazine, a heck of a lot easier. Your cyclic rate of fire will increase if you just had the regular mag. So I don't know if that is more rhetorical, what he's trying to say. It's scare tactics, definitely, to insinuate that we're walking around, all of us gun owners, AR owners are walking around with 100-round drum magazines. Just not. Very few people are. And getting back to the whole assault weapon, right, that everyone loves to call it, the media, our president, or that man in the White House.
Sure.
So it goes back, actually, the first name of an assault rifle was in World War II. The tail end of World War II, they had the 7.92, I believe, millimeter Sturmgewehr for Germans out there, okay? All right. They invented the first, it looks like an AK-47, and it fired fully automatic with a box magazine. Yeah. Okay, not a clip, gang. not a clip. Only M1s have the clip, but a magazine that you insert and it fired full auto.
Mhm.
You could take a hill with that. It was the first full auto box magazine that came up. So they started calling it assault weapons, anything that looks similar to that. But what really signifies the assault weapon is the ability to fire on full auto. What most Americans have right now are semi-automatic firing AR rifles or carbines.
Yep.
Okay? They're not assault rifles.
Nope.
So it's a scare tactic. Just the name assault means, according to those who hate guns, it means something mean, something scary. And if you got one, you're going to make an assault on something.
Sure.
You're not just going to go out and target practice. It's done specifically for an assault, and that sounds a heck of a lot scarier.
And the AR does not stand for assault rifle.
AR stands for Armalite,
Yep.
not assault rifle.
Right.
Okay, the first makers were Armalite.
Words can be fun,
Good
but
to
words
know.
can also be bad too.
That's right.
Because AR, and that's what they associate with, is assault rifle. Now, no, it's not true at all. That's awesome. By the way, I don't own a 100-round drum at all. I own a 40-round is the highest capacity that I have personally. And if you're in a field and you're in the middle of the country in Wisconsin at your family's farm or whatever you're at, if you have 100 rounds, how hot does your gun get after 100 rounds of pumping through consecutively? So if you just were to, keep pulling the trigger, that gun's going to get pretty hot.
It's going to get hot. It's not going to be like a M60 machine gun that we used to carry, and you have to change a barrel.
Yeah.
You go through about 1,000 rounds of that, and you better change the barrel. They're going to melt that barrel.
Mhm.
It'll get red hot.
Yep.
And you remember the old World War II and World War I machine guns, they were water cooled. That big fat thing that people think is part of the barrel is actually water in there to cool the barrel. So, you go through 1,000 rounds or so, you're going to be changing the barrel.
It's crazy to me that I just can't understand. He keeps calling it common sense. And I just keep looking back going, it's not common sense because you can look at it both ways. And I have to bring up a point, and Pete's watching the show right now, and it's been all week, Pete, I'm not going to lie. I've been festering in my head about this, and what we were talking about last episode really comes down to the fact that if I was making the argument that it's okay to do a background check. I'm okay with that. That's fine. I don't disagree with it. And Pete made the comment right away that no, it's not. It's my right. It's not a privilege. So, it's not like a driver's license. It's the Second Amendment. It's a right. It's not a privilege. So there's a difference between a right and privilege. And all week long, I'm tossing in my head back and forth. And I just have to say, you're right. It is. It's my right. And if I start putting stipulations on it, we're going to run into what we're running into right this second, which is the fact that we're allowing things because it makes sense. It makes sense because the media has brainwashed us to make sure that we are, paying attention this way. Well, we need to do that because we keep having mass shootings, we keep having gun violence and everything else. How many car accidents happened today? I'm just throwing a rhetorical question out there. How many people died in those car accidents today? A lot. But yet cars continue to drive on the road and people still have the privilege to be able to drive with it also. So when are we going to start talking about traffic accidents and speeding and every other right? Well, why does a car go above the speed limit? Why does a car allow you to? Why does Dodge allow to come out with a 707 horsepower Hellcat that is literally able to lift the front tires off?
Because that's just badass.
It is badass, by the way. And to have a
And
great
motorcycles.
Right.
Motorcycles.
Same thing.
So I grabbed lunch over at Portillo's in Crystal Lake today, and in one of their booths there was an old Chicago Tribune paper, and the headline read 40,000 vehicles caused death or something like that.
Jeez.
And I just go, you know what? Same narrative, different weapon. So there was. I should have took a picture of it, but that's exactly what it said back. This is back in the 60s or 50s. And I'm just like, okay. But the interesting thing is to what happened today, and what CNN also has repeatedly said is the executive actions do nothing to impinge on the Second Amendment. So
Just think about that for a second.
Hmm.
So, but and here's what I want everybody else to think as well. Now, I don't own a gun. I'm not against them. I don't own a gun. That's my choice, right? But the interesting thing is the staging of these executive orders in the Rose Garden, Sandy Hook families, the lady from Arizona that was shot, the
We're going to bring
Congresswoman.
everyone that was a victim of what happened.
So I sit here and everybody's like, oh man, he did this. Obviously not, because he was able to fly all these people in. Now we get upset because some presidents golf. Again, I'm not going to get political as a country. However,
so hard.
however, we can't. We won't get too upset by flying in a ton of people to stage in the beautiful Rose Garden.
Yeah. It's just so well orchestrated.
Yeah.
It's like a big show.
It is.
Okay. So we'll just.
And this is a big show. It's a great show.
Yeah.
Of course, brought to you through the financial support of Gold Shield. Right.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. Mhm.
Are you saying you think there shouldn't be a background check
No,
before you buy a gun?
Yeah. So Pete is exactly what made me think about that. So the Second Amendment says the right to bear arms, and there's shall be no infringement. Well, doing a background check is an infringement on that Second Amendment right.
Two interpretations of Second Amendment. The anti-gunners,
Mm-hmm.
they hang their hat on the first part of that Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A well-regulated militia necessary for security of a free state. What they interpret out of that is private citizens don't need guns, okay? Because the militia will take care of you, or the military. The way James Madison wrote it, 1791, the first part doesn't even really make a sentence.
Right.
It's constitutional preambleese. I think I might have mentioned that a couple of shows ago.
Yep.
Okay. And then after the militia part, comma. Then it becomes a statement, which was James Madison's real thrust of the Second Amendment, because it is a statement. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Shall not. Biblical connotations, and it goes back to the Bible. Luke in 11:21, I believe, or 11:18, where he says, when a strong man, fully armored, protects his courtyard, his possessions will not be disturbed. That's coming out of the New Testament, right? That basically says you have the right to defend yourself and your property.
Yep.
It's a God-given right, or why is it going to be in the Bible? Okay? Talking about getting political, I think people would be a little bit more easy about a universal background check if there was a universal voter ID card.
Oh, man.
How about that?
Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is.
I just threw the dead skunk in the middle of the table.
Yeah. Well,
Mic
the same
drop.
people who can't produce that ID card for voting can for the vaccine. Never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
Well, we're
Whoops.
not political.
Whoops.
We're not. That was just a little fun there.
Is this live? Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I mean, Facebook. But
Whoops. I apologize.
part of the problem, by the way, guys.
We love everybody,
Oh, yeah.
and that's why this show is here to educate and let everybody know.
And
Right?
by all means, any viewers, listeners out there that
We love you.
really want to have this discussion, because we're willing to listen. We're not going to fight you on it. We're not going to yell at you. We're not going to swear at you and tell you're stupid. We're literally going to listen to your side of things, because we need to hear that so we can understand where you're coming from, so that we can either show you the right way of how we're thinking, and or convince you the other way. And at the same time, you can do the same to us. So, I mean, I'm open to different things. Pete changed my mind about the whole background check. I was like, no, that's fine. That's cool. And after he said it, literally for the last week, I can't get it out of my head. I'm like, you're right. Shall not be infringed. It's it's a statement. It's a right, not a privilege. There's a huge difference to that as well. And it comes back to full swing that I talked about last episode. When there's a will, there's a way. If it's not a AR, it's a pistol. If it's not a pistol, it's a knife. If it's not a knife, then it's a car. If it's not a car, then it's I'm going to watch a brick. I mean, anything can cause damage and death if you use it. A fork. Navy SEALs, I think, can do it with a straw or anything. Oh, look at my wife's already trying to stab me.
A well-written letter to the correct people.
A well-written letter to the correct people. Sounds great. All right, so we're gonna step off that topic.
Yeah.
Because I really want to
Absolutely.
get to the females in the room, and obviously today's events really we just need to talk about it and dive in, and we're gonna go more into it. And I'd love to hear more of your side of things, being in the gun selling and training and everything about your world. Every decision made above affects what you can and cannot do, and you constantly have to pay attention to it because you could lose your license for it, right? For selling firearms.
I could lose my license from being on this show.
Oh, cool. Let's not make that happen, by the way. I like
Don't
that.
put this on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
I will work with the producer to pixelate his face,
Okay,
change his voice.
Just give him the big blue eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, Jemima, I'm going to start with you and ask you a couple questions, and then I'm going to have Tom kind of talk about what his side of things are. So, as a novice gun owner and somebody who would like to go into some kind of training facility by yourself, what would it take to make that happen?
I think just a comfort level around who is training me, where I am. Do I feel? I think every woman is a little different with their intimidation factor, if I can call it that.
Sure.
Just confidence level of, sometimes it's hard to have a guy, not even your husband or your boyfriend, but like a stranger guy talk to you, because we've been talked down to kind of historically. Like we've always had instances where we've had that condescending kind of ego guy, whether it's
women aren't supposed to be in the kitchen anymore.
Well, you know what I mean? Whether it's at the mechanic that, oh, your air filter's 7 years old, you need blah, blah, blah. There's always been we've all had experiences, and I'm sure men have had that too in certain instances. But I think that kind of sticks in a woman's brain is someone going to be a jerk to me? Mm-hmm. Are they going to really take the time and help? So I think that's probably the number one apprehension is I would just want to make sure that this person's invested in actually teaching me and actually cares and is going to be nice.
Okay. In terms of, I guess, comfort level with the firearm itself, what would be your number one goal, I guess, out of if some training was offered?
So out of a training program, I would like to be able to completely clean, load, retract my gun, shoot it, put it back, like start to finish. Again, don't need someone to help me clean my gun because I'm afraid to touch it because I'm afraid to shoot, someone in the next room or whatever. But yeah, I think just the comfort level of actually handling it and shooting it. I don't care about being the most accurate shot at this point. Like when it's training, I just want to be comfortable touching it, holding it, using it.
What a bunch of great points you have. And let's start with the intimidation factor of walking into a gun store. There was a life that I had before managing or directing on target.
I thought you just did this since you were a baby.
Right.
You act like you do.
Yeah, I know. No, actually, we talked about this today when I was interviewing new people. We're always interviewing on a regular basis and looking for good talent. But the number one question isn't how much you know about guns. It's about how well do you get along with people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been in too many gun stores myself. I coming out of the Marines on leave, and I go to some guy with a walrus mustache who's going to lean over and say, "Boy, what kind of gun you looking for? Who do you want to put down?" Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I just want to shoot something. Okay? You guys out there know who you are. So I want to invite people over because we have something called compassion and empathy. And we have 3 ladies shooting leagues at On Target.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And if we can't put you at ease, you get in touch with the league, they'll be more than welcome to have you come in. And that way you're with kindred spirits who had to go through the whole thing themselves. And now they found that comfort level with it that you're talking about. And that's the second thing I really want to talk about, because there's so much of a psychological stigma sometimes placed on firearms, not necessarily weapons, but firearm, that because they're also used for fun. And some people have a hard time of getting over that stigma that this thing can kill me. Well, a chainsaw can kill you. You hit your femoral artery when you're chainsaw. Yeah, a hammer can kill you. A lot of things can kill you. So let's go to the comfort. And the way you get the comfort is naturally through instruction, realizing that, wait a second, I'm in control here. I know how this feels in my hand. I know that the muzzle has to go downrange. It's a matter of cognizance. That's the big word. Muzzle cognizance and awareness of wherever you point that muzzle, it better be in a safe direction. But the whole nomenclature and working of the firearm is very important to achieve that comfort. And through that training, you get it, and working with it, you get it as well. What I look for, people come up and they say, well, I want to buy a gun. I want something that shoots good. Oh, okay.
They all don't just shoot
I don't
good?
have, I tell them, I don't have any one of those guns on the wall that shoot good.
Yep.
It's the shooter. It's the person
Yes.
who will make it accurate for themselves, and you'll make it your own.
Yep.
So what are we really looking for? You're looking for to be comfortable. You're looking for something that is comfortable, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, functionality. I get comfort knowing that the firearms I own will go off every time I press the trigger.
Yep.
And I'm familiar with them. So it's a matter of familiarity with your firearm and knowing that you're in control. And that's what gives you that comfort. And the way it goes, matriculation of ownership or purchasing and training, it goes from training that you initially get. That training will give you performance as you start getting closer to that perfect bullseye, right? That perfect group in the bull.
Yep.
That performance then gives you comfort in your abilities and gives you comfort in your firearm. And that comfort then gives you confidence. And that's what echoes in the hallways of On Target all the time, especially when we're training people how to shoot. Because I don't want anyone on the street with concealed carry if you're not confident
Right.
that you're going to be able to draw that firearm and save a life if necessary. And I do mean save a life, because you don't draw that firearm unless you plan on saving a life, your own, a loved one, or a complete stranger that we have the right to, even in Illinois, according to the deadly force laws.
Yeah.
So that's a misconception that the concealed carry people are out there to do harm.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually out there to save lives. And I challenge the anti-gunners to try and take that right away that can save their family. You don't own a gun. You said you don't own a gun, but I bet you'd be thankful if your neighbor gun owner came in the middle of the night and chased away some other bad guys with guns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
That's how
He's a
simple
Marine.
it is.
Yeah.
I know it's cliche. You know, that's one of our NRA arguments and gun owner arguments, but it's so true. So please don't castigate us because we carry a gun or we own guns, because that person, that gun owner, might be the person who saves your
Absolutely.
life.
Yep. You gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, when they wear a badge, we appreciate that they have a gun. I mean, the Secret Service, you know what I'm saying? And we look at that, the military, the Marines.
We
my
teach
son,
the
my son's
military to
right.
carry.
My son's in the military, and we appreciate that for what? Protecting us.
Yeah. And I love your thought process around that too.
Mm-hmm.
We're saving a life, we're not taking a life. And it's a huge statement that really should resonate is saving a life. We're saving a life, either yours, your family, and maybe you, Kent, while you're in there too. You're saving your life because we're carrying. I feel more confident in public when I carry, which I do every day. I feel less vulnerable. When we go on vacation, I get real nervous because I don't know whatever vacation we're going to. I just don't bring it because, number one, I got to get it there and I got to follow the carry laws that are there. It don't like concealed carry work in that state. And there's a lot of suggestions. I just want to enjoy my vacation. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I don't have my friend with me. That's my shield. I feel like my protection or my bubble is now gone. It's open. I'm vulnerable, and I can feel it, physically feel it as well. I got something for you, Kiki, because you touched on a really good point, and it really comes down to comfort level. Did he answer?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Thank you.
So, can I tell a story about your motorcycle training?
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
don't
when
know-
you
I don't know what you're referring
Yeah.
to.
Which
I think he's
part of
going
the
to-
training?
she needed her husband for that one.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We rode.
That's it.
Awkward silence. No, just
That's
kidding. When you first got on my motorcycle for the first time, what did you do?
Started crying immediately before we even started riding.
Was the bike on?
It was on,
Uh-huh.
but we weren't moving yet.
And how long?
I didn't grow up around motorcycles
Or guns.
or guns
Okay.
at all. So I was, really nervous.
Sure.
I grew up in the suburbs and with strict European parents.
Yep.
Like,
How long do you think it took before you felt comfortable on the back of my bike? Number one.
at least a whole season.
And then what happened after that?
Then I got more and more comfortable, and then I got my own motorcycle.
Okay. And mind you, my wife is an amazing rider now. And one of the biggest things that I teach when riding is the same stuff I teach with guns is safety.
Mhm.
And one of the things I advocate the most with is assuming the accident. So paying attention to what ifs, what could happen when, if this car crashes into this car, it's going to spin this car out to this way. So I need to give myself X amount of distance so I have an exit strategy to be able to safely put my motorcycle in a place where it doesn't cause harm.
One thing I want
or
to
risk.
mention, and this used to drive me crazy when we used to ride together, and I used to sit on the back with you. Every time we would pass a car, he would look inside like this, like look at the driver. And I was like, what are you doing? Why are you always doing that? It's so annoying. And he's like, always look and see what they're doing. Always look at their hands. Are they paying attention? Do they have both hands on the steering wheel? Are they texting? Are they on their phone? Are they reaching in the back seat? Because you want to stay away from them if they're doing that. And it's made me even a better driver, just being like really aware and paying attention, to things like that.
Anticipating problems. I can tell when I'm riding if someone's going to get in the left-hand lane without a turn signal. That's how long I've done that. And a career in racing made me pay attention to that, because in a race car, the guy in front of you, the nice thing about a racetrack is everyone's traveling the same distance, the same way. There's no other people. No one's got a cell phone on them. And they're all professional drivers. So there's some differences in there too. But the actions of what the car is doing, okay, if you get a little roll, that person's tugging on the steering wheel. They're yelling at their husband or their wife or their significant other or their kids in the back seat. The phone's ringing, whatever's happening. I know that person's distracted.
Sounds like my car.
All it does for me, though, is make me pay attention to it more so that I can safely know my exit strategies in that situation. It's not that I'm mad at that driver. I'm the same driver, too. There's times when my phone rings and I get distracted. And even with autopilot, which we almost ran into today, has some, little things that you have to pay attention with it as well.
Yeah.
So my point to all this comes back to practice, comfortability. So using the right tools, using the right person to train with to make sure that you're comfortable. I would say after your number 4 season,
This is
number 5
my
season,
fourth I think,
riding season. I would feel comfortable more now having her go by herself than having me next to her as well, because I've seen the training that I've given her and the reasons, that she's shown me while I keep her in front of me at all times so that I can pay attention to it. And it's not man versus female here with this. It's safety, right? It comes down to safety.
And you're overprotective.
I'm overprotected because I love my wife. And I don't want to lose you.
Here's a question for the ladies, since you don't have to do this with your husband. Is if your husband didn't own firearms, would you still?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't own a firearm. Would I be upset, or would my wife own a firearm if she so desired? It's an interesting question.
Great question. And I think that should go for the audience. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I want to say my answer would be yes, just because that's the nature I grew up in and kind of the, protection that I would like to have for my family. But then again, you don't know if you have a husband that's just hell-bent, dead set on, we'll never have guns in our house because it's a safety risk for children. I know that's,
It's okay.
As
It's good.
unfounded as it is, I know that's kind of a household decision that a lot
Sure.
of families make. Is they're more afraid of the weapon and it getting into the wrong hands, And I think like there's a caveat, and I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but I think that's another source of concern for women and mothers in even concealed carry. Is I've got a gun in my purse, and us women, we just chuck our purse in the front seat of the car and drive, and then we're throwing our purse, and you've got kids in the purse digging for gum, and like, what's that comfort level look like, and how does a woman actually safely conceal carry with kids around and with distractions of daily life? So maybe we can touch on that too.
It becomes a lifestyle. It really does. And since the advent of concealed carry in Illinois, it's a new thing. The whole holster thing. I got to carry a gun in a holster. That's never been done in this state until Mary Shepard, the martyr and the matriarch of the concealed carry movement in Illinois. She was beat up in a church in St. Anne, Illinois. Poor woman. She's a gun owner. Always said, I want to carry a gun. And she wasn't allowed to. So she gets beat up. The goon is eventually caught. And what happens is that she sues the state of Illinois and Lisa Madigan. She wins. Therefore, we have concealed carry because someone in the governor's office said, hey, Mary Shepard won. Okay, well, think of a way how we can make money off this. All right, henceforth your application fee
Right.
to conceal carry.
Of $150 too, by the way.
right.
It's great.
And that's not including the cost of a class you have to take.
Correct.
So it's relatively new. I mean, in Texas, they've been carrying holsters. In Alaska and out west, they've been carrying holsters since they had a pacifier. Okay. But here it's something new. Now we have to think, okay, how am I going to do this safely? And you make some great, you brought up great concerns. And we know there has been some horrifying accidents where children find concealed carry guns in mom's bag in Walmart and that sort of thing. It's horrifying. And our hearts, no one cries more for these people than gun owners because we know what this is a little bit more. But the point is, with your concerns, you have to make it a lifestyle. There are times when you might be a little bit more cavalier in how you carry. When you're not around family, when you're around little ones, you take those extra precautions.
Right.
I would rather take that second or two to chamber around rather than carrying it locked and cocked and ready to go. When I know I got young ones around that could easily grab it. A Glock, for example, has no external safety unless you want to call that trigger safety a safety, and it's really not.
Correct.
But a 3-year-old just picks up a lock and loaded Glock without an external safety and boom, shoots, it goes off. Okay. So you might want to think about another way how to carry it if you're around your children, especially inquisitive, curious children. Okay.
Tony, welcome. I saw you came on earlier. So hi, how are you? Tony has a question here that she actually just asked. So she says, I just asked my husband, as we do not own guns, he would be okay with me getting a gun with proper training and safety precautions.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm going to speak for yourself real quick. Obviously, that's your number one thing. Don't own a gun without proper training, safety precautions, learning how to use it, learning how to clean it. Do you mind me bring up like the biggest point ever, Kiki? What do we do after every time we go to the range?
We go home and we clean our guns.
We bought mats so we can lay everything out. And what's one thing I'm doing right now with you in terms of cleaning?
Showing me how to take it apart and clean it properly and put it back together.
Awesome. So I think
Sounds like a great date night.
it is a great date. You go to the range. First off, if you've never shot a gun at the range, it's the most relaxing thing ever.
Cool.
It's stress relieving. It feels really good. It makes you focus. It betters your mind. It energizes you. It's making you focus on something that is not part of your. You don't go every day, and I mean maybe you do.
Especially
Tom,
during
which is
COVID,
not
like
fair because I want to live that life.
yeah, that was one of like the only things we could go do like during COVID last year. So that was nice. That's when I got into it, especially even more.
Yep.
So
it's true. So I think just like owning a vehicle, I think you should be able to change your own tire. I think you should be able to check your own oil. I think you should change your own wiper blades, wiper fluids, all that kind of stuff as well. whether you want to do it or not, because my wife does not do that.
No.
Never done any of those things.
I don't even like putting gas in the
Oh
car.
my gosh. That's why I bought an electric car, so I don't have to
Speaking of
put
which,
gas
I
in.
need gas.
Oh, great. Oh, cool. Wonderful.
Water
Show.
tank.
Does anybody want to fill up my wife's gas
Anyone?
tank? 'Cause I don't want to do that.
Bueller.
Bueller.
I miss the old guys at the Texaco station
Oh
who
my
would run out
gosh.
in a jumpsuit.
Yes.
Ding, ding. They have the little,
Yep.
their name.
Yep.
Can I wash your windows, sir? Well, absolutely. I like that. I miss that. I wish they still had that
Check your oil.
for our seniors.
Yep.
I mean,
Yes.
how cruel is that?
Oh, it's horrible.
When an 85-year-old woman pulls into a gas station and there's no one to help her.
Nope.
And it's 30 below out.
Oh, yeah.
That's torture.
Yep.
They
Right.
should have, where's that guy in the jumpsuit when I need him?
Oh, he's
Create
gonna
a
Clean.
lot of jobs
Hey,
that way.
That clean
Yeah.
cut guy.
Growing up where I did, you didn't even have to pay. You paid once a month. Your dad or mom took care of the bill at the end of the month. You just pull in, fuel up, or they'd come out, pump it for you. You want that on? Yeah, put that on dad's. We're good. It was good.
So I think part of being comfortable, and I have to commend my wife.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she started off with, she did not, her parents didn't have animals. Her parents didn't have guns. They didn't have motorcycles. They didn't have any of that stuff growing up. To have her comfort level, and I've seen it. So we started with a 38 Special. She was a little uncomfortable. She doesn't like my firearms that I have. And you touched on it perfectly. And Tom, I have two questions for you. Number one, can you go to On Target and rent firearms to try?
Absolutely. In fact, on Mondays, we want people to be comfortable with a gun. We don't want to make them to make the wrong decision.
Yep.
Because Uncle Elmo up in Fargo said, well, you got to get one of them. You got to get a 45 or you're nothing. Okay, all right.
Go big
Okay.
or go home.
Yeah.
And then when you turn 14, I'll give you an air. Okay. All right, that's Uncle Elmo, crazy Uncle Elmo. What you have to do, you go there on a Monday. We offer free rental on Monday
Oh,
because
nice.
we want people to try a number of guns. We know ammo is expensive. You get a box of 50 rounds. You could try, 3, guns of like caliber,
Mhm.
right? 3 9mm, for example.
Yep.
And try them out. See wow, this one feels real good and it's real easy to operate.
Mhm.
That sort of thing. I also want to touch real quick on
Sure.
the options for training. Some folks are not they're intimidated by a group setting.
Mhm.
We have a class called Gun Couples. The date night, basically,
fantastic.
where a
Yeah.
couple can
So
go
cool.
on a Friday night or Sunday, whenever we offer it. And there are a number of couples going around there. And we try to have a couple, a male, female instructor run that one.
Mhm.
And that
That's
way there's no
awesome.
intimidation and it becomes kind of a date night, that sort of thing. Some people are very comfortable in the group setting. However, we have a number of people who would rather have private instruction. And we've seen a preponderance of private instruction seekers since all the riots of last summer. A number of people who never owned a gun
Protests.
before have come to us. And perhaps their schedule doesn't permit them to attend a group class. Okay, great. We offer private instruction. Come on. That way we focus on your needs. Whatever it is. Well, I didn't want to ask that question in that Gals and Guns class because I didn't want to look stupid,
Mhm.
but I'm going to ask you, okay? Because it's just us in the class or with another person perhaps. And that way we focus right on your needs, on your gun.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So-
good to know.
So
You guys
that's
have a lot of options.
a very popular one. And we get a number of people to take us up on it. And thank God for that.
Yeah, and I just
Yeah,
have to
it's
throw
cool.
out there real quick. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big advocate for On Target. We've been treated really good there.
Mhm.
We love going there. Clean facility, super friendly people.
Great customer service.
And I know why. Tom's the director of operations. We've had conversations off air about what his training regimen looks like, his hiring process, who the personality is looking for as well. And I can only appreciate that because I have been to those gun stores where I've walked in and I felt uncomfortable.
Mhm.
As somebody, I walk up and he's like, well, what are you looking for? Well, I'm actually looking for a 19, because right now I'm on the hunt for a 1911. There's a specific one that I'm looking for and I'm open to different ones, but I'm not a 1911 expert. I don't know. I don't have time to sit all day and go through all the forms and listen to it as well. And I think that's the common stigma too with women in general is you got people telling you, influencing what you should be buying. No, go and try it out yourself, because
that's awesome.
my concealed carry is an M&P 9mm shield, and I love it. I literally shot, I don't know, we spent
And I hate it. So there you go.
Absolutely hates it. She can't cock it properly. She is too stiff of a spring inside of it. I love it because it has an external safety as well as a trigger safety, if you want to call it a trigger safety. But I know my concealed carry so well, and I put so many rounds down range with it that I can literally unsafety it and pull the trigger to a certain point right before I know it's going to hit. Every time. It's every time. And it's a lot of dry firing at home with practice rounds, because that's important too. And a lot of people don't realize that you can dry fire a gun with the proper rounds that actually won't damage any pins or any internal mechanisms. And the best part is, and we had Magda here last week during the show, and another female gun enthusiast. She has her concealed carry, but she is too scared to carry because she doesn't have the holster training to be able to utilize it properly, which you guys offer holster training as well.
And that's a responsible gun owner, by the way.
Yeah, and she definitely a huge second. Everything has to be by the books for her, and she has to be really comfortable with things before she does them. And I can only appreciate that, right?
Respect.
So respect for doing the right thing. And we have tools, and we have places that actually care about gun enthusiasts being safe about things.
Right.
Because the last thing we want is obviously an accident not to happen. We don't want to purchase a gun to have someone's kid accidentally go off or accidentally do whatever with it. We want to purchase a firearm so that we can literally be able to shield ourselves and our family. And Keith, I will jump into this because obviously, Tom, I'm going to ask you this. I need a concealed carry license. Where can I go?
Okay. Well, we run about 3 to 4 concealed carry classes every month at On Target. We offer them during the weekdays for a number of retirees.
Sweet.
We offer them on weekends. And we even had a number of groups come up to us. If you have, let's say, a group of 6 or more, I'll run a private concealed carry just for your group.
Beautiful.
It'll be, and I could break it up any way you want. Yes.
Just got a question. So we've got probably 500,000 listeners right now that don't necessarily live in the On Target area. Is there a place they go, a website? Can they call, send an email to find it, like in my state, where a good place to go is?
But for the concealed carry. They're all over the internet. I think there is even you could type into some of the different sites and just put your zip code, and they'll tell you, where to go for concealed carry. But if you're anywhere within 100-mile radius, then come on over.
Come on up.
And we'll do it.
Yeah.
And I think you'll like it because
Worth the drive.
It's worth it. Our instructors are top notch. I have retired law enforcement and retired military, and some aren't retired military. They're just real nice people who just enjoy teaching. And we have we try to take that compassionate, empathetic tone, because we understand we've been there before. Everyone's been there before. And we just take that whole factor out of there. But as far as the classes, we do offer renewal classes as well.
Perfect.
So nice. We do, after the initial introductory classes, then we go up a notch, and then we move into the holster drills. And after that, then we go down range. So, in fact, we had a women's league last night who approached me last night, probably about 20 gals. Okay, I'm an old guy. I get to say gals, right? All right.
Yes.
That's why we even call our women's introductory class Gals and Guns.
Nice.
It has
Cool.
kind of that Western Annie Oakley ring
Hey,
to it.
you're a Marine. You can call me whatever you
we
want.
call them gals. Is going
And he
on
knows
over
how to
here.
use the firearm.
That's right. Whatever you need, Tom.
Whatever you need.
Well, they're all bench shooters. They have their club. They shoot from the bench,
Sweet.
and they've been doing that on a regular basis for a number of months. And they approached me last night, and they said, "Can we go down range? Would you, put together a holster drill class just for our class or our league?" And I said, sure, of course. Of course we could do that. And for the concealed carry, we're one of the few concealed carry training entities that advocate. And the final day, along with your final qual, you qualify twice to make sure the first one wasn't an accident. And then we have you actually do a holster draw and shoot.
Oof.
And that way, a lot of people won't touch that. It's not mandated by ISP, Illinois State Police. They just mandate a dry fire. But I feel, and my instructors feel, we're doing a disservice to all of our customers if we don't teach them to draw and actually shoot from the holster.
Psychologically, when you know you have a round that can hurt you and you holster draw, it's a weird feeling than dry firing. I can dry fire all day long, but when you know that your finger has to be in the right placement when you pull that out and you're trying to, you know what I mean, do what you need to do, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie. It was nerve-wracking for me. It's nerve-wracking. It's a totally different game because that round now is real. You have now loaded a chamber, you drop your gun, you fumble it, it's now can go off.
But how do you feel when you're done? The first time you did it?
It's like, okay, it's not bad. Okay, we're good.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that good feeling you get after you pass a kidney stone.
It was like having sex. I was a little nervous and jittery at first.
Either one of them I have done, sex or pass a kidney stone, since we're not doing it with our husbands. And we have a great question up here, and this is also a whole other topic. Great. Ted is a longtime listener of 216 and that, and he's a super great guy. I've commented with his comments and watched him talk back and forth. So he's a disabled individual, and I'm thinking about getting a concealed carry license. Can you help me get one?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Absolutely. We had a number of people, and that can't be held against you by law.
You're right.
And we have a number by law. Again,
Good.
You have to allow all disabled people to get a concealed carry, and we have had that. We have had a few people in wheelchairs and walkers who have qualified from the wheelchair.
Perfect.
And we have an elevator at On Target. So you go on up to the classroom, you go down to the range, no problem.
Great.
Cool.
Came out of nowhere.
I know.
We got 4 minutes left here, guys. So we're gonna continue with a couple questions here. Just be cognizant. I mean, this has been fantastic. I'm so happy you two came
A lot of good
Really-
information.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, I'm going to shout out On Target again because I just want to keep advocating. It's somewhere personally. I've been in bad gun stores.
We've been
locally.
to many gun stores.
So my wife and I constantly, we don't have any kids. It's just us. She has family here. My family's in New York. So we spend a lot of time together, as much time as we can, outside of work, obviously. But we go around the gun stores and when we check it out, we're looking for different firearms that we haven't seen before, things that are kind of like, oh, cool. Plus, we're hunting bullets and ammo as much as possible. Every place I go, I look for ammunition that I can and just continue to stock up. Ted, great question. How do they get a hold of you? Or not you personally, but on
Give us a call. Yeah, I'm easy to track down over there.
Sure.
Our number is 815-477-2020. We're in Crystal Lake, Illinois, 560 Beechcraft Lane. That's Beechcraft as in the airplane, not in beach, okay, not in sand. Okay? And our website is www. Do I have to say that anymore? Okay.
I don't think
www.
Yeah, you do. You're a Marine. You do.
Yes, sir.
Marines and computers don't get along. I still got a flip phone.
That's it.
I appreciate the Marines not knowing what computers are because you guys definitely know yourselves
We
around firearms.
That's
break
correct.
computers. They keep all the Marines
You know
away.
what? Just protect the freedom is all that I care about. So.
On Target Sites, SITES.
SITE, ontargetsite.com.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And
Just one site, not two.
click on classes and a schedule will come up. And if you have any problem with the website, then you just go ahead and call that number and say, hey, I'm having problems, and we'll sign you up over the phone or come in and visit us.
Mm-hmm.
Better yet, if you live close, come in and visit us. Okay?
Or just stop
And
in.
look me up, say, hey, I saw you on the show. Want more information? and I make the strongest coffee in McHenry County. So stop by and we'll have a cup of coffee.
It doesn't surprise me, honestly. He's a Marine. He's
I chew
VA.
it.
Of course, he probably just eats the coffee beans as morning coffee. So awesome, cool.
1 minute.
1 minute to go.
Awesome.
Anything else you guys want to obviously quickly ask about?
Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You
This
did
was
great.
extremely informative.
Mhm.
A lot of
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Nice
you
to have a
also.
conversation.
Wonderful meeting you.
Yeah.
Me too. Thank you.
Any questions, you can email me at Derek at the Baer Facts on Guns.com. And we can answer questions. I would love to get a women's only concealed carry class going off of the show. Obviously, my wife and Jemima would be involved with it as well. And you can meet some famous people now since this is their internet radio debut on there as well. So, Ken, as always, thank you. Thank you, 216.
Great job.
Really appreciate it. Have a great day, guys.
Hi, everyone.